Pedro Calderón de la Barca is better than your favorite author, probably. What's more, it's probably not even close. But to demonstrate this controversial point, I wanted to read to you the opening monologue to his Vida es Sueño. Now, pay attention, there will be a translation in the description, but it ends with an amazing, brilliant pun. So here we go. ROSAURA, the Deuteragonists, opens up the play. Hippogrifo violento, que corriste parejas con el viento, donde rayo sin llama, pájaro sin matiz, pez sin escama, y bruto sin instinto natural, al confuso laberinto de esas desnudas peñas de desbocas, te arrastras y despeñas. Quédate en este monte, donde tengan los brutos su faetonte, que yo, sin más camino, que el que me dan las leyes del destino, ciega y desesperada, bajaré la cabeza enmarañada de este monte eminente, que arruga el sol el ceño de la frente. Mal, Polonia, recibes a un extranjero, pues con sangre escribes su entrada en tus arenas, y apenas llega, cuando llega apenas. That final line, y apenas llega, cuando llega apenas, is what this title is referring to. It's a pun, it's a paronomasia. It could be translated into English, she has hardly arrived, and she arrives in pain. This is ROSAURA talking about herself in the third person. That combines there. Pedro Calderón de la Barca puts there at least 4 distinct rhetorical techniques. There is paronomasia, which is a fancy way of saying pun. It's a particular type of pun called antenaclasis, which takes advantage of the apparent similarity of 2 words that are actually spelt different, or 2 kind of expressions that are spelt slightly different. In this case, apenas can mean in pain, 2 different words, and apenas can mean hardly in Spanish. It's also an example of chiasmus. Chiasmus is a rhetorical technique in which contrasting ideas are inverted in a sentence. That's a bit complex, but it almost follows an A-B-B-A structure. A common example of this is, in peace, sons bury their fathers, but fathers bury their sons in war. We can see the idea war and peace are on the opposite ends of the sentence. Father and son are then contrasted in the center. Calderón de la Barca uses the same technique here. It's also obviously an antithesis, as many chiasmuses are. Now, the reason I'm talking about this in particular is it demonstrates something about the Siglo de Oro, this period of remarkable artistic production in the Hispanic world, running more or less from 1492 up until about 1650, 1670. Now, I want you to keep in mind that that's almost a throwaway line very few people pay attention to in a monologue that isn't even the main monologue of the play. By an author many people haven't even heard of, in a work many others haven't even heard of. This is the sheer astounding brilliance of much of the literature of the Siglo de Oro. And this raises a question, why don't we actually talk about this more? I mean, if you have experience with Spanish literature courses, you'll know that the Siglo de Oro is referred to, it has to be, but it's treated almost like flyover territory. Maybe a few works are covered slightly, but students are never allowed to truly engage in those works. And I think we're doing students an enormous disservice there. Often this is justified on the basis that the literature is considered too difficult to get into, or maybe it's considered not relevant. Well, I think the first is only partially a problem. Anything that's worth doing is difficult, as we know, right? And what I've just shown you, I hope, is that the treasures to be found in Siglo de Oro literature rival anything that we've produced in the last 100 years, easily. And then the second point is that, if anything, Siglo de Oro literature is more relevant now than ever. If you know anything about La Vida y Sueño, you know that you could write endless works on it. It's an endless source of publications. It's an endless source of essay topics. If you want to do a feminist analysis of literature, you really couldn't look anywhere better than La Vida y Sueño. I promise that has more to tell us within that literary critical tradition than anything written in the last 50 years. And I'm going to finish off with a challenge to you. It's a controversial challenge. But I want to see, can you find anything written in the last 50, maybe let's take it further, the last 100 years, that rivals what Pedro Calderón de la Barca has done in this monologue? Keeping in mind that that's not even considered a principally important part of the story. I'd be interested if you can. I'm open to hearing that. I'm fully recognizing that maybe my position here is a little bit controversial. I'd like to make more videos on this topic, so let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video in which I become an even more ardent Siglo de Oro apologist. This monologue is about the deuteragonist ROSAURA coming to Poland to seek vengeance. Exactly why is a longer story, and I don't want to give away spoilers, but it's a story about, in large part, one woman seeking vengeance and another man seeking reality.